Hello people, we are Tottenham TV. Let's go and see what you guys have been saying in the last 48 hours. West Ham fans would never infiltrate our chat. Never infiltrate our comment section. Never, ever.
No, of course not. Apart from this guy, SRBWHU, says, "You two handsome sods." I'm sure there's no sarcasm there. Calm yourself down. You have played a pony Wolves team and a Villa team who rolled over. Us, West Ham, will beat Arsenal on Sunday. You watch. We always do something when we are massive underdogs. This ain't over. Irons.
Look, I agree with him. I don't think it is over. It's only 1 point, 3 games to go, 3 massive games to go. But what happened when Crystal Palace rolled over for you? You couldn't even get the points over the line. Couldn't even get the points over the line. So, yeah, you could say we played 2 pony sides, but that's who we've got in front of us. You got rolled over by Brentford 3-0. Couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, albeit you had a few chances. Came close, but no goals. And when Crystal Palace rested all their big players, what happened?
Well, the reality is, whatever this guy wants to say, there's been a clear improvement under Zerbi, and that's what a lot of Tottenham fans are recognising. We're 7 points in 9 now. No one's saying the job is done. There's a lot of work still to be done. But after all the shit we've taken for this whole year, for this whole season, being awful week after week, seeing clear improvements and clear improvements in results as well, not including performances, is obviously going to get us a bit excited and get a bit of belief back. So, forgive Tottenham fans for believing again. That's all I'll say. Leonard Coughlin says, "Do you think if Thomas Frank gets the head coach job at Palace, he will move on Brennan Johnson?"
Yeah, I mean, Brennan Johnson will not want that at all. If Brennan, oh my days.
He basically got his way out of the club in January just basically because of Frank, essentially. That was like half the reason.
Well, Frank wanted him out.
Yeah, as I'm saying. So,
but the thing is, it's not exactly like Glasner was taken to him too well, is it?
No.
He's not doing too well under Glasner either. He's a bench player at Crystal Palace.
Do you reckon he'll leave after 6 months? Where would he go? I don't know. How quickly his stock has fallen.
I know.
Sad for him after being our top goal scorer last season.
Top goal scorer. I mean, top goal scorer, a goal in the Europa League final in a 1-0 game, the winner. And now it's just like, I do feel bad for him because he's such a nice guy.
I heard some people talk about Brennan. They say he's actually better when you put him in a better team because he's more like a cherry on top kind of player rather than a player who's, if you put him in a worse team where he's got to like take a bit more responsibility, like getting on the ball.
He did well at Forest though.
He did do all right at Forest. Yeah, you're right. Maybe he's just got to play to his strengths somehow. I feel like he's not a player. We know he's not a player who's going to take the ball by himself, and do things. He's got to be. He needs a service, doesn't he? At Palace with those 2 number 10s, like when
he needs Ange back in management. That's what he needs.
Yeah, exactly. But like Sarr and Pino and who else plays in that number 10? Like they like to get on the ball, don't they? They like to create. And when they had Eze and Olise, that was exactly what they like to do. Johnson's just very different to that. Yeah,
the thing is with Brennan at Palace, I just think it's been a bit unfortunate as well because he's gone there and Palace have obviously had a really bad time of it. And I don't know, just nothing seemed to be gone right up until very recently.
Well, they've been better since he's come in, I would say.
Well, they've been better in the last month. Not really. I mean, from January to like February, March, they were pretty poor, weren't they? And then kind of April, they got better.
Well, it kind of turned around when they played us.
Yeah.
When was that? February?
March or back end of February, yeah.
So, yeah, that was really when it started to turn around for them. Obviously, they're in the Conference League.
But you would think as well, in a transitional team like Crystal Palace, what they usually are, he would do well there. So maybe he just needs a bit more time.
True. He's only been there, not that long, a couple months. Duyet Pam says, if there's a mistake we can look at this season, it's definitely... this season is definitely not sacking Frank after the Arsenal game, back at the Emirates and not going for De Zerbi instead of Tudor. Sure, the scenario will play out differently, but it's this mistake that really made the board V9 Lounge look like absolute buffoons. Yeah,
there were a couple of moments. There was that moment. I think the real moment...
Could we have actually sacked him then? Would it have been too early? Like, would there have been like, I can't believe you sacked him in the Wolves in November? It would have been very
Yeah,
early.
It would have been Nuno-esque.
It would have been Nuno-esque. But then again, people are saying it was probably right. I don't know. Even I was saying, I mean, I wasn't a massive fan of Frank even then, but I was saying I probably would have given him until January, or something.
I think, it is a bit unfair to sack him in November, but seeing how it all played out, hindsight is obviously 2020. So
well, apparently that's what who's it? Paratici wanted.
Yeah.
After that game.
So look, in hindsight, we should have done it then, but the real time to sack him was after that West Ham game.
That was bonkers that we didn't do it then. Absolute bonkers. I think a good time might have been actually the Forest game in December, just before January. Like clearly, we were awful then, and we could have
West Ham
probably
before
done it
that.
then. West Ham was in January, so the Forest game was late December, I think, or early. I can't remember. I think it was late December. That could have been. We could have actually sacked him then. I don't think anyone would really batted an eye. But obviously we kept him on, and we just did this whole we're going to back him and gave him the January window. West Ham was like obviously nonsensical not to sack him after that game. That was clear like craziness not to sack him. We gave him a few more games, and then obviously we sacked him after Newcastle, which was definitely way too late.
Yeah, the West Ham game was 17th of Jan. The Forest game was 14th of December.
Yeah, I think that we could have sacked him after Forest. I think that would have been a fair sacking. I think if we'd have done it then.
But obviously we know that in December the games are just like every few days. You know what I mean?
True.
And it's just like but anyway, it didn't really make a difference anyway, did it?
True.
And we won a few weeks after that as well against Crystal Palace. And then we got a few results. We drew against Sunderland, drew against Brentford. But yeah, it's mad. That was our last home win. And then
Brentford,
he kept saving himself, didn't he, with these games like Dortmund, and like every few weeks he would get
Just
a result.
pull out a result, yeah.
Every time he was on the brink, a result would come around the corner. The Crystal Palace one, the Dortmund one, the Frankfurt one. You know what I mean? It's just like they just kept saving him.
Yeah, but ultimately, yeah, you're right. It just kept him in a job. In terms of the one for getting, obviously we know getting Tudor was a massive error. But again, after he was, I think De Zerbi only left a couple of days before the Frank sacking, so it would have been a tough sell at that point. But I believe that De Zerbi, I just think we weren't as desperate. I don't think we were desperate to get De Zerbi at that point. That's why we didn't get him. I think if we gave him the deal that we gave him now, then I reckon he probably would have taken it.
Yeah.
So I think, we until we got desperate and then we offered him a crazy deal. Now we've got him through the door, but it could have been done earlier, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm just looking at that run of results now. Like after we lost to West Ham, I remember very clearly it was like if he loses the Dortmund game, that's it. He's done. There's no chance.
Oh, I remember you even having discussions saying he's done even if he wins that game.
Yeah, I know. But he won it. Then we drew with Burnley. Then we beat Frankfurt, and then we came back from 2-0 down against Man City.
Yeah.
And then that saved him so much time, and it was just so stupid.
Fox Spox says, why the F would we need to spend 40+ million on Trafford or Verbruggen, who are another unproven young keepers? I know they have potential, but they haven't shown anything yet because their careers have just begun. You either replace Vicario with an already completed, experienced goalkeeper, or have a young, promising keeper. And the thing is, we already have a promising young keeper who's Kinski. He's also good with his feet. He's been good and confident in the last games, especially in the corners. And we also don't have to spend a lot of money for him because he's already one of our own. We won't have European football next season, so it's a good chance to give him. He won't succeed well, and then we of course can buy a new keeper. But for the next season, we don't have to rush. Buying Trafford, Chevalier, Verbruggen, whatever, not only is unnecessary, but also very disrespectful towards Tony. Don't be dickheads and let him have a chance next season.
Yeah, there is a part of me that agrees with this.
Don't be dickheads.
There is a part of me that agrees with this. I mean, we spoke a little bit about it yesterday, but look, I do think like Verbruggen is ahead of Kinski in his career for sure. You know, he's been starting in the Premier League for the last couple of years, and he's got much more experience behind him. But we bought Kinski for a reason, didn't he? You know, remember last year he said Kinski's come to play, and now he's playing and he's having his best moment in the Spurs shirt.
He has, because he's looked to leave last January, hasn't he? 'Cause he's not playing enough.
I wouldn't mind putting our trust in him and seeing how it goes. I really wouldn't.
I just think we're basing it off basically of 4 games now.
Well, we're also not, because if we do keep him, De Zerbi is the one that sees him in training every day, and that's what the idea will be based on.
Yeah, but we're just basing it on what we've seen. Last season obviously had a great debut, but then very much was poor for a lot of games, and also was okay for some others, but definitely his shot stopping was big question marks over that. Obviously, we had Atletico, but I don't want to judge him too much on that. But to be fair, even other games earlier this season, Newcastle in the Carabao, he made a howler as well. So it's not like we haven't seen howlers this season. But credit to him, he's battled back from that, and he's been very, very good and very confident in the last 4 games.
I think those mistakes could be the making of him, to be honest.
Yeah, it might well be. But I haven't seen him put to the test from a shot-stopping point of view, which is his biggest weakness that we've seen. His biggest concern, let's say, of him is that ability to stop shots regularly. And I'm not saying he's made any mistakes, but I just don't know if he's rectified that just yet. And if we can't go a whole season of him playing like he was maybe last season when he was letting in way too many easy shots, and if he's not ready for that, then he can't be our number one. And I don't know if he is yet. That's just the only thing. Because we're not actually conceding that many shots at the moment.
It's true, but if we're being completely honest with ourselves, like Verbruggen is also like his flaws are similar to Kinski's flaws. His shot stopping, he can make big mistakes, and he has done this season as well. James Trafford as well. Like he got bought by Man City, and then he made them mistakes, and then they went and got Donnarumma. So like, yeah, they're both ahead of Kinski, and they've both got more experience than Kinski, but they've also had highlighted mistakes this season.
Yeah, but Verbruggen's the Dutch number one. He's been playing in the Premier League for a couple of years now, and he's been improving. I'm sure Kinski, he probably would improve, but is he good enough to be Tottenham's number one? Is the question. I'm just not convinced by. I'm not saying definitely not, but from what I've seen, I'm not convinced he is. Maybe in these last 3 games, we'll see him save some shots, but it's hard to judge it against him because Tottenham's defence is tightened up. I don't want to count it against him because he's been part of that with the way he builds up and keeps the ball. So it's credit to him.
Instills confidence in that back line as well. He really does.
Yeah, on the ball he does. Yeah, off the ball, to be fair, he does well with his corners and stuff. We just haven't conceded that many shots on target, so that big concern hasn't been alleviated. But it's hard to count that against him because he's been part of that reason. 7 Scorpion says, would rather just keep Kinski, save money to buy a better midfielder or forwards.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying yesterday. I mean, I'll definitely prefer to do that. If there is an unbelievable goalkeeper on the market, someone that is a bit more experienced and that can come in and replace Vicario, I'm all for it. And look, Verbruggen and Trafford could have higher ceilings than Kinski as well, and probably in the immediate future they are ahead of Kinski and better than Kinski. But is it enough to go and spend that money on when we can be spending it in areas that we're desperate for?
But here's my point: before this run, right, you wouldn't have said you want him as the number one.
No.
So you've seen enough in these 4 games to suggest he can be our number one keeper.
But it's also, well, it's not just that. It's not just I've seen enough in these last 3-4 games. It's all about if De Zerbi kind of feels that way, I'll go with his decision. He's the one making decisions. But I just feel in these 3-4 games, maybe it's not that I've seen enough from him shot stopping, but I just feel like he just calms everything down, and I just feel calm with him in goal. I've got no issues with him being there. With Vicario, I have had issues with him all season. And he's supposed to be that experienced head, that number one. And for a 23-year-old to come in and just show that air of calmness where you just don't have a worry with him being in goal, like, what's the need to change it?
Fair enough. Defendi says, you two have the typical Spurs mentality, and that is why we don't win regularly and always struggle. Look at the big clubs. They have quality squads, and you two are worried if we have Senesi and Van de Ven in the same position. All it takes is one injury and back to square one. I loved your Solanke analysis when you said he never gets injured. Look at him now. We need to stop this narrative and build a top squad. Look at Arsenal's backline and their backups. You would say they have more games, but we need to change our mindset. And 2 quality players in the same position is the best scenario.
I don't disagree with that whatsoever. I mean, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think we've always said we want 2 quality players in each position. Obviously, if you look at Arsenal, you look at Man City, they have that. But they've also got European football to contend with, and they're going very deep in every tournament. So they have to use their squad, and they do use their squad. We've got 1 game a week next year, so it's going to be harder to keep the players happy at Spurs than it would be at a place like Arsenal or Man City.
Yeah, the thing with Arsenal as well, all their defenders are very versatile. They can all pretty much play across the back line. It's pretty mental. So they've all, like, if Calafiori can play centre-back or left-back, Timber centre-back or right-back, Ben White the same. Same with Hincapié, centre-back or left-back. So there's kind of roles for all of them when need be. And obviously they have more games. But I agree. I think in a perfect world, I would love to get 2 players in each position. That's what we all want.
Yeah.
Ben Weber says, Dragusin is an international. He had an ACL. He's suited to the Italian league and could do well back there. Just hasn't had the opportunity to play since his return as being 4th choice. I could either see a club paying 20 million for him or going on a season-long loan to prove himself again. I'm sure we paid 26 million for him. He does lack pace a bit and not great on the ball. Everyone needs to run their games to show their best. I remember him playing centre-back with Gray, and Gray did look better. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think he doesn't fit probably what De Zerbi is going to want to do, and I think getting any sort of money back for him is the best course of action moving. I don't think hanging on to him makes too much sense. I'm not against the loan, because I do think his stock is quite low right now. If he does go on loan to an Italian club, plays regularly, I think his stock can climb again, because I'm sure he'll go there, play quite well, and then all of a sudden we maybe get some more money. So I think maybe a smart thing would to put him on loan. But if we were to get an offer for between 15 and 20, I don't think it's a bad move to get money in for him.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like, if we had a manager like Frank, like, I think he would have been all right for Frank, Radu Dragusin, because I think he's a good box defender. And I think he's proven that on the international stage. I think at the Euros, I think he had a brilliant tournament as a box defender. But as a high line, we just can't play with him in high line. He's not good enough on the ball, and he's not quick enough to be in a high line. So, yeah, I do think Italy is the best place for him, like we've mentioned a couple of times. So, yeah, I think just cut our losses this summer. 15, 20 million will be a great deal.
Just imagining the thought of Dragusin putting his foot on the ball and inviting pressure and him being comfortable with that. I just can't imagine it. But then again, he's still young, so maybe it would surprise a few people. But just from what I've seen, I can't imagine doing that. Sir Pineapple says, honestly, after the season we had, I don't know if we could convince the top players to come to our club. If we ever could with a recruitment team and lack of our wages. But honestly, I reckon we could get Rashford and Grealish. Grealish can play on our wing or midfield, and he's been amazing at Everton until he got injured. If we got rid of a striker, Jonathan David or John Duran would be amazing. De Zerbi had alluded to bringing in a Greenwood, which I don't know how to feel about. If he isn't, okay, I don't want to go into that. United are probably looking to get rid of Mason Mount, and he'd be great for depth. I think although it's hard, I'm okay to lose Romero and bring in Luca as Van der Ven is open to staying. Also got Big Kev. Maybe we need another right back. If we could go, my 3 favourites are still McTominay, Wharton and Leao, but I don't know if we have a hope of signing them. Just in terms of Rashford or Grealish, both potentially could be available this summer.
Yeah, I've heard that Rashford might be going back to United.
Yeah, I reckon if Carrick stays, I reckon he'll take Rashford back. I reckon he'd like Rashford back.
I mean, yeah, even under a new manager, Rashford's had a good season at Barcelona.
But if he is available, if he still wants a new challenge,
I'll take him for sure. And if there's an opportunity for a loan there for Rashford or Grealish, I would take it.
You take Grealish?
I would. I think Grealish has been really impressive at Everton this year. Obviously, he's had a season-ending injury, which is unfortunate for him. But when he was fit, I think he was one of the best left wingers in the league this season.
I think Grealish on loan, if you think about it, would be pretty perfect because he's a kind of number 10/left winger. Could be our number 1 left winger for a year. Obviously, if he does really well, keep him on. But I'm saying while Maddison's getting back to his best for the ACL, while Xavi's getting back from injury, while Odegaard as well is recovering, if you get a loan deal with someone like Grealish, who can fill in on all of those spots, it's pretty good.
I would take out either of those players. And I think last summer when we were talking about Grealish, I said no, off the back of his poor season at Man City, but completely wrong. I think he's proved everyone wrong at Everton this year. I think he's had a really good season. In terms of the strikers that he's talking about, John Duran, I'll stay away, man. Stay away from John Duran. He is trouble. And Jonathan David's had a really poor season at Juventus.
Yeah, terrible.
But I think he's proven that he can score goals, but I guess it was in the French league, so I don't know how much you can read into that.
I'm trying to think who his striker was at Brighton. João Pedro, did he have? Was that under Zerbi?
Yeah.
Under Marseille, it was like Aubameyang. So, I mean, it's hard to say what kind of striker De Zerbi likes. I think he can play quite flexibly with a few different options. But, yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I think we're going to have to sign a striker this summer for sure. I think Richarlison will probably inevitably leave. I don't know.
We say that every year, though.
I know, it's true, but I do think it's probably going to happen this summer. Albeit, again, he's our top goal scorer. So, and I don't know what he's going to do with Solanke. I don't know what he's going to do with him. Is he going to sell him, or is he going to rely on him? It's hard to know because he's just been so decimated with injuries the whole time.
It's always Gift Orban.
Gift Orban, yeah, he's got a great replacement. I am a Cupid stunt, says reality is in the last 2 seasons following Ange's first season and the injuries occurred then we had accrued then we had very little options to rotate Destiny. I believe he has for 2 years been trying to play through niggles / warning signs because of our lack of options. Having someone like Robertson to rotate in periodically when a doggy gets a niggle instead of waiting till he breaks, this will help massively reduce his frequency of injuries.
Yes, that's true. However, what if a doggy gets a long-time injury? Then we're stuck with playing with Robertson every single game.
Yeah, which is a problem.
Which is, it's not an unlikely scenario, is it, with Destiny a doggy? So I get what you're saying, ease the burden a bit on a doggy and play Robertson, but I'd prefer to bring someone that can actually challenge a doggy for that first team spot.
I definitely think there have been times when a doggy has been overplayed for sure and that's caused injury, but it's also just when was it? Sunderland. He came back for 1 week, played and was injured again. So it's not always just because he's overplayed. I think
maybe bringing him back too early as well.
Yeah, maybe bring back too early, but maybe it is a consequence of having a lack of options because we haven't really had support for him for
since he's come.
Since he's come, really, yeah. We've relied on players we don't really trust, and then obviously Spencer's played there, but we've tried not to do that. Every time a doggy's back fit, he always comes back in. Spence never keeps his place.
Yeah,
I think all the managers have done that. I think probably for a reason. A New Dawn says, integrate more next season and send Williams Barnett on loan to Rangers.
I wouldn't be against that at all.
Against that.
I would love to see how Williams Barnett does at Rangers. Is it too soon for him? I don't know. He's still very young. What is he, 17 years of age?
More would have been.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that at all. I think that's a very good idea.
Yeah, I'm all in favour of that. And Lee Hager says, assuming we stay up next season, we should sell Romero and have Vuskovic and Van de Ven be our main starting backline. Vuskovic is too generational to just have sitting on our bench.
Too generational.
We often see the teams get better when they sell their best player, so we should take the risk and cash in on Romero.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mouthwatering to have the prospect of Vuskovic and Van de Ven at centre-back next season, maybe throw in a Van Hecker as well. I think that would be fantastic. So, yeah, look, I think it might be time to cash in on Romero. I think he probably wants to leave. I don't think Spurs are going to stand in his way. So get the money this summer and we've got a ready and waiting replacement in Vuskovic.
Yeah. Look, I don't want Romero to leave, obviously. I really like him, and I think he's a top player, and I think he's perfect for De Zerbi as well. I think De Zerbi would love him. But, unfortunately, there's just been a lot of baggage at this point with him, and I think probably makes sense to sell if we get a good offer, and if he's desperate to leave, and all that kind of stuff. If De Zerbi can't convince him to stay, then I think it's best to get, even if it's not the best offer, just get 50 million, get something like that, and move on from it. In terms of what we do after that, obviously Van Hecker's ahead of Vuskovic probably right now in terms of can we really sign Van Hecker and integrate Vuskovic with no Europe next season and sign Senesi? Can we have all three? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's realistic. Like, I don't know.
I think it is realistic.
You think it is?
I think it is. If you have 4 centre-backs, why not?
And Danso.
Yeah, Danso will have to be 5th choice.
Is that a realistic situation? Would Vuskovic?
I don't see why not.
I think Vuskovic would probably go on loan if we sign Van Hecker. I can't see us signing Van Hecker and keeping Danso and having Vuskovic and signing Senesi. I just can't see that.
Well, look at in the last 3 years, how much game time all our centre-backs have had.
Yeah.
So that shows you it will work.
No, I don't think you plan for Van Hecke and Senesi and Van
You don't
Aanholt.
plan, but what you do plan is for adequate replacements so the level doesn't drop too much when you do get those injuries and when you do need to rotate.
Yeah.
And that's what that would look like, and that's what that would be.
With no European football, I don't think we plan for have 5 senior centre-backs like that. I just don't see it happening. I don't see us spending big on Van Hecke and keeping Vuskovic.
I think 5 would be excessive. I think 4 would be great.
Yeah.
In that thing, then maybe you do move on to Kevin Danso.
I mean, Danso would obviously that would be my perfect scenario, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it would probably, in the scenario where we are serious about Van Hecke, I can't see a scenario unless we sell Danso that Van Hecke and Vuskovic are in the same
By the
squad.
way, we're talking about Liverpool hijacking Senesi anyway. So if that happens, then fine. We're all right.
But if it doesn't, I'm just saying I don't see Vuskovic and Van Hecke being in the same squad next season. I think if we do go for a Van Hecke, I think Vuskovic goes out on loan again.
I think they can be in the same squad, assuming if Senesi doesn't come.
Yeah, if that happens, then fine. But I think Senesi probably will come.
I agree. I don't think we signed 2 centre-backs this summer, even if Romero is to go. I think we signed 1.
Yeah,
and that one will be Senesi or Van Hecke, with Vuskovic coming in as well. Yeah, I agree with that.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, those are your comments. Once again, we'll see you all tomorrow for some more content. We'll see you later, guys. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.